The complex trauma you experience in a narcissistic relationship leaves a devastating impact on your emotional and psychological well being. But that's not it. It destroys your sexuality as well. And by that, I mean your sexual experience and expression. But how does it happen? Well, you know how a narcissist uses sex as a weapon. They withhold it, make you beg for it, they use it to violate you, they induce a strong trauma bond using sex against you. They do all sorts of things that lead to you experiencing one of the most extreme forms of sexual abuse, which you may or may not be able to recognize. And that's why in today's episode, we are going to go really deep and we are going to discuss how narcissistic abuse trauma impacts your sexuality. If that sounds interesting, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm Danish, your host, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. You are welcome to this community. Let's lay the foundation of this episode by trying to understand how narcissists are with sex. Even though I have created a ton of episodes on the same topic, but just a little bit for you to understand what I'm trying to say. See, narcissists are quite mechanical. They do not have a sexual self. Whatever they do in bed with you is nothing but a performance, and it's a completely self-absorbed process for them. Whenever they get intimate with you, they have an outcome in mind. And that's not what happens in healthy, normal relationships. For example, when a narcissist decides to make you think they are great at intimacy, of course, they are going to make it a very pleasurable experience for you. Of course, it's going to feel intense and it's going to be an experience filled with fun. And they are focused on making you feel that, not to make you feel happy or to satisfy your needs in some way, but to uphold their image in your eyes. They love the fact that they're able to make you feel a certain way. They are able to make you think a certain way about them, which may not be true at all. Now, I just gave you one example. You think of all the incidents, all the things they do, their mechanical nature, their robotic nature, lack of touch, lack of intimacy, lack of connection, lack of respect, lack of vulnerability, lack of reciprocity during sexual intimacy. All of that combined together leave you with a hell lot of trauma that changes your sexual self in a lot of ways. The first thing that we are going to discuss about the numbing out of your sexual desires. You see, when you get neglected in such a relationship for years, when you get told you are unattractive, I am not comfortable with having sex with you because you smell, you are too fat, you are too thin. When you're compared with their peers, with their coworkers, with your own siblings, with your friends, their friends all the time, of course, you get filled with a lot of alien shame. Why did I say alien? Because that shame is not real. You're not flawed, but they make you think you are flawed. And it is not that they stop with making you think you're flawed, they convince you. They brainwash you into thinking that your sexual life with them is missing, is destructive, is dysfunctional, all because of you. And imagine being subjected to this kind of heinous abuse for years, day in and day out. You're thinking, I am bad, I'm wrong, I'm flawed, I'm rotten. There is something major missing in me because of which he doesn't choose me. Maybe she has found somebody else. Maybe he lasts longer in bed. Maybe he has a lot more sexual appetite. It numbs your sexual self out, and then it changes the meaning of touch for you. You see, when you are in a relationship, you feel a natural desire, a need to hug your partner, to touch your partner, to kiss your partner. But because of all those rejections, all of the insults, all of the violations that have been committed against you, you just feel like a part of you dies off slowly. It may not be an actual death that you go through, it may be just numbing out, but ultimately you cease to go near. You cease to want something from them. You cease to even think of sex. It becomes a thing of past for you, especially if you live with them for decades, 10, 20, 30 years. Maybe initially it was a thing. They love bombed you, and during that love bombing stage, there was some intimacy. But as it dies off, your desires also vanish away. The other direction your sexuality may take is that of hyper expression. You see, when you are sexually trauma bonded to a narcissist, intimacy becomes the only time when you feel connected to them. And that is the reason why you may become hypersexual, or you may think you have become hypersexual, when the case may not be so. What I'm talking about is you going to them, you initiating something all the time, because they are not initiating anything with you. They are not talking to you, they're not looking at you, they're always in their phone, they're talking to somebody else, they have separated their bed from you, and you have not found out yet that you're dealing with a narcissist. So, to make things better, what do? You approach, you try to steam up things, you try to look different, you work on yourself, you lose weight, you gain weight, you attempt to rekindle love. And unfortunately, there is nothing to be rekindled, because the other party does not experience what you are trying to make them experience. In any case, they call you all sorts of names. They call you clingy, they call you needy, they call you hypersexual. Why? Because you want it from them. And they just focus on that one element, not on the entire thing. They do not talk about how they have been withholding warmth and affection from you. They do not talk about the compassion they have never shown you for years. And they do not also understand why you are trying to get physically intimate with them. For them, it's just an act, and they just somehow want to get over it. But for you, it is coming back to life. It's in that moment when you feel some kind of connection with them, even though they may be just rubbing their body against yours. For them, it may be a chore they just want to be so done with. But for you, it is an expression of love. And the unfortunate thing is, at the end of it, you are left dissatisfied, because it's not the act itself that motivates you, that drives you to get closer to them. It is that hope, the dopamine hit, the oxytocin that is released during the act, the serotonin, and all the endorphins, pain relieving hormones that your brain releases, ultimately leading to your nervous system regulation. That is what you seek when you try to get intimate with them. And what does that do to you? It makes you feel so ashamed of yourself. How so? Well, you eventually are forced to think, my goodness, this man, this woman is treating me horribly, such poor behavior, and I'm still trying to have sex with them. I still want to be close to them. What's wrong with me? I want to get rid of this, but I can't. Every time they're near me, I just can't help but try to be sexual. I want it, as if it's some kind of drug. The problem is not with you. The problem is with the dysfunctional pattern of affection expression that you have been subjected to. In simple words, in the beginning of this relationship, it was possibly intense. They kissed you, hugged you, but then they starved you. There's a thing called touch starvation, and it's a trauma thing. You have experienced that. You have skin hunger. That's why I said it's not the act that you crave, it is the human touch that you long for. When this goes on for years, you become resentful, vengeful, and really angry towards the narcissist, towards yourself, and towards the world at large, because one of your basic needs was left unmet, or it was met at the expense of losing some part of yourself. The third thing that may happen is complete sexual betrayal. Now, we all know narcissists are cheaters. Some of them cheat on their partners sexually, don't they? And that is the most obvious form of trust breaches we know of. Which is why when you leave the narcissist, even after 20, 30 years and wait for 1 to 2 years, you're still not able to open up sexually, because touch has been associated with mistrust. You cannot risk trusting another human being, because the last time you did it with that narcissist, You were betrayed in the worst way imaginable. So, sex becomes a concept that you remain away from. I know a lot of survivors who turned celibate. They do not want to do anything with intimacy. They hate the concept of having another body next to them, lying close to them, because they just cannot stand the type of trauma that could possibly come out of it. If you are somebody like that, it's okay. You don't have to be sexual. You don't have to put yourself out there and experience and explore things. What you can do is understand the root cause of where your trauma response may be coming from. Now, let's talk about the last aspect of sexuality that unfortunately nobody talks about. I know a lot of survivors, female survivors of narcissistic abuse, whose partners were closeted gay. I'm not against homosexuality. This is a safe space for all types of people. It does not matter who you are. As long as you are empathetic, you are welcome. What I'm trying to focus on is those con artists who are so ashamed of their true sexual orientation that they sacrifice women who they are not sexually interested in, and then violate them for years. The ultimate level of gaslighting happens in such relationships because this woman keeps thinking, oh, maybe it's my fault. Maybe I am undesirable. The man keeps rejecting her. The man makes her feel as if she's this ugly thing, undesirable. He shows zero interest in her body. There is no attraction whatsoever. It all feels forced. She keeps asking, what's going on? What's going on? Unfortunately, gets no answers whatsoever. And he never tells her the truth. And it's only through different means she finds out that he was a down low, that he was somebody else, but was projecting an image that was not true sexually speaking. Now, what does that lead to? The ultimate form of betrayal. What does that leave her feeling? The worst form of skin hunger. Affection was missing. Warmth was missing. Touch was missing. Probably it was sporadic, but it was forced. It didn't come from heart. And all along, she kept thinking it was her fault. When she finds out the truth, she's filled with extreme rage because she realizes that her years were wasted living a lie, that what she was shown turned out to be an illusion. She was chasing a mirage, and she was holding on to hopeless hope. These narcissistic gay men, they do not take any responsibility whatsoever. They don't even acknowledge the truth, even when there is undeniable proof showing that they have been nothing but a liar. All of this combined leaves you with a deep moral and sexual wound, which may take years to heal, because you are trying to overcome betrayal trauma, which means you're trying to heal the trust wound they left you with. You are trying to heal those feelings of undesirability, feeling unwanted, feeling rejected, feeling abandoned. You are trying to heal the trauma that came from the chase you were a part of, always trying to get some piece of affection from them. You are trying to heal the trauma bond they sustained and maintained through intermittent reinforcement. And that is not easy. Which is why I need to tell you, if you are a survivor of narcissistic sexual abuse, you need to be easy on yourself. You need to be compassionate with your sexual self. You need to reintroduce touch into your life, but it has to come from you. You can give yourself gentle hugs. You can put your hands across your arms and feel that warmth coming from yourself so that you start feeling safe, or should I say, your body starts feeling safe in its own presence, because right now it has shut down. It's not willing to accept another human being. It's not willing to open up, and that is okay. Don't force yourself if you are not ready, but at the same time, make sure to heal your sexual trauma and do not get stuck. With that, let's bring this episode to an end. I hope you found it useful and helpful. Let me know in the comments. I will talk to you in the next one. Until then, as always, let the healing begin and continue.